Hello, Rosy Hardy here in the Kedder house at Hardy's Cottage Garden Plants. We have a really good time of year in the late summer whereby the main reason for doing our propagation is seed. And it's really quite an easy thing to go and do. Go out, collect the seeds. Remember though that you always need to use paper bags for collecting the seeds, and then you can bring them in, clean them up. Those that need sowing fresh you put in, those that need storing you will do. And this is what we're going to cover in this video, different types of seed and what the preparation is for them to be used. So there are various types of seeds that you can get out there. These are Astrantia, which are umbelliferæ, and you will find the seed is held within the top here, and it is a completely different shape than other seed because it is a long seed such as this one there, and that is what you're wanting to collect. At the bottom of the bowl here is actually where all that seed has dropped. There is no point in collecting it without actually putting it into something to hold the seed in place. Other things like pods like these, the Baptisia, have beautiful rounded seeds with hard cases such as this, and they are really nice clean seed. You don't need to do a lot of cleaning to those. The umbelliferæ you would have to do an awful lot of cleaning to. And then you have things like this, the Asteraceae, such as you would have with dandelion clocks, and these are much more difficult to do anything with. And of course you have your traditional thing that if you blow at them they go everywhere. When you go out and collect your seed, it is easier to have a pot and cut the stems into it, because then you can collect any seed that falls into the bottom of the bag. Then you put it into your paper bag like this. You must use paper bags because that way the plants will still, the seed will stay dry, and then you can tip any of the excess into the bottom. This is a type of seed that you will have to sit and put and let it dry, and it will then, once it is shaken through, fall to the bottom of the bag. Right on here, the name of what you have collected. This is actually Astrantia, and they put a date on it because that is always useful. We always collect a load of our seed and put all the paper bags all like this in the bottom of a pot, and then you will be able to see what you've got. This is Thapsia, that's another umbelliferæ. You've got another one here, very fine seed. Can you see all that dark seed at the bottom? That's nice and clean. Sometimes it's really easy to clean it. It falls out, you can lift all this out, and you find that in actual fact you've got a load of seed at the bottom of there, and that's just with me talking to you and shaking it around that it has fallen out of there. Umbelliferæ are really difficult seed to actually get to germinate, and sometimes they need sowing straight away, sometimes they need to be put outside and left over winter, and they will germinate in the spring. As I showed you earlier, things like this, the Asteraceae, are really difficult because they can just fly off everywhere if there is a gust of wind. If you're going to sow them, just lay the head onto the surface like so and just weight it down with some stones. That way the majority of the seed ends up underneath the stones and is actually on the surface of the compost, because otherwise it will just blow off, and especially when you go and try to water, it will also blow off with the weight of the water going through. So that is one way of putting seed in. Other seed wants to be sown directly on the surface of the compost, and that is fine. So you would put it on there, you would water it up, and then other seed needs to be covered. Most of the time you would cover seed with something like vermiculite, and you would just give a very fine film of vermiculite over the top of the seed. This will give it breathing space, it will allow water to go through, and it won't get mold or algae growing on it. One thing you must remember not to do is this. Everybody gets their seed, goes like this, rubs it around their hands. Well, ladies, you wear hand cream. Men, you're quite often warm when you're collecting this. As soon as you rub it round like that, all the oils come out of your hands, and guess what? Oil is waterproof, so the seed can't absorb the water. Make sure that when things are being either in a packet or in your paper bags, that you sow direct from those areas, and you can still do it just as easily like that, rather than sticking it on your hand and tapping your wrist. And now we're in the multi-span. We grow a lot of traditional cottage garden annuals. They are fantastic plants for you to put in your garden, to spot in where you've got a hole, and they will just keep on flowering right the way through the summer. A lot of people think, oh, they've got to get them sown really early in the year, but you don't. What you can do is you can put a few seeds in early on. If they don't succeed, then put some more in, because the year changes. Sometimes it can be bright, sometimes it can be really dull and cold, and they don't germinate always exactly the same time, but they are superb things to grow there for you to be able to use and give you a lot of really good colour. You've got Cosmos for interest. This one is Antiquity. You've got the really lovely dwarf Cosmos here, annual Lavateras, Cynoglossums, and look at this fabulous, wonderful umbelliferae. This one is Orlea. Now, we had Orlea at Chelsea, that's early May. We've now got this late August because we sowed these so much later, which means that you can have them carrying on right the way through. If you visited Hampton Court Flower Show this year, you will have known that we did two displays, one with just annuals and the other with our traditional cottage garden perennials with the annuals mixed in, to show you what you can do. Sweet peas, or Lathyrus. This is Lathyrus machicana, a species one. Have really lovely round hard black seeds, and sometimes it can be difficult for those to absorb water. So there are two techniques for this. One is you can put them into sandpaper and just rub the coat so that it then becomes able to absorb water, or you can put them into warm water and soak them for about 2 hours pre-putting them in for sowing. Got two different umbelliferae here, but they both need the same sort of seed treatment. You need to remember to have sown the seed onto your compost in a moist condition and then put it into the fridge, because they require a cold unit to be able to get them to germinate properly. You'll have much more success if you can put them into a fridge for about 10 days and then bring them out into a heated greenhouse or wherever you do your seeds, and they will be much better.